U.S. financial news this week. U.S. financial markets were dominated by developments surrounding President Donald Trump's tariff policies, which have stirred volatility and uncertainty. The administration imposed steep tariffs, including a 145% rate on Chinese goods, escalating the U.S. China trade war. However, a 90-day pause on broad Liberation Day tariffs was announced to allow negotiations with 14 major trading partners, offering temporary relief to markets. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent expressed optimism about achieving clarity on trade deals within this period, though he noted the 145% tariff on China is unlikely sustainable long-term. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ experienced a death cross, a technical indicator where the 50-day moving average fell below the 200-day average, signaling potential bearish trends. Analysts are divided. Some warn of further declines, citing historical market drops, while others see it as a potential buying opportunity, noting recoveries often follow such patterns. Despite tariff turbulence, Wall Street saw gains in financials, and U.S. banks maintained steady headcounts, signaling resilience. The U.S. dollar weakened significantly, losing nearly 10% of its value since Inauguration Day, with half of that decline occurring this month. This was partly attributed to global market reactions to tariffs and a sell-off in U.S. Treasuries, traditionally a safe haven. Meanwhile, Nvidia slumped after new U.S. export curbs on AI chip sales to China, highlighting the tech sector's vulnerability to trade tensions. The Federal Trade Commission's antitrust suit against Meta also progressed, with opening statements this week potentially forcing the company to divest WhatsApp and Instagram. U.S. political news on the political front. The Trump administration faced scrutiny over First Amendment issues and immigration policies. A news outlet was barred from certain events for using the term Gulf of Mexico, a decision a federal judge ruled violated free speech. This sparked debate about media access and government overreach. Meanwhile, the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador, drew attention. Both U.S. and Salvadoran officials, including President Nayib Bukele, deflected responsibility for his return, leaving the issue unresolved. The administration also clashed with Harvard University, issuing new threats after the institution rejected unspecified U.S. demands. Additionally, the Department of Government Efficiency attempted to assign a team to the Vera Institute of Justice, a nonprofit, raising concerns about federal overreach into civil society. Legal battles continued, with law students suing a U.S. civil rights agency over crackdowns on law firm diversity policies and others challenging the Defense Department over book removals in schools. World news globally, the U.S. China trade war dominated headlines. China signaled readiness for talks if the U.S. shows respect, while appointing a new head of international trade negotiation to navigate the escalating conflict. Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Malaysia, part of a Southeast Asia tour, was framed as a response to U.S. tariffs. China, the second-largest holder of U.S. debt, could theoretically devalue the dollar by dumping its holdings, adding another layer of tension. In the Middle East, Hamas rejected Israel's latest proposal to pause the Gaza war, dimming hopes for a near-term ceasefire. Houthi-affiliated outlets reported 15 U.S. strikes in Marib, Yemen, as the group vowed to maintain its stance on Gaza. In Ukraine, biophysicist Ole Halaidich contributed to drone production, reflecting grassroots efforts to bolster defenses. Elsewhere, the EU and Britain pledged increased aid for Sudan at a London conference, addressing the ongoing humanitarian crisis. In Ecuador, a runoff election pitted a Trump ally, incumbent Daniel Noboa, against leftist Luisa Gonzalez, with security concerns dominating the polarized race. A rare sighting of a colossal squid near the South Sandwich Islands and a baby squid in the same region captivated marine biologists, marking a scientific highlight. Critical perspective. The tariff-driven market volatility and political controversies reflect a broader pattern of economic nationalism and assertive governance under the Trump administration. While the tariff pause offers short-term relief, the long-term impact on global trade and U.S. consumers remains uncertain. The dollar's decline and tech sector disruptions suggest vulnerabilities in the U.S. economy, despite banking sector stability. Politically, First Amendment violations and immigration mishandlings raise questions about accountability, while global tensions underscore the interconnectedness of U.S. policies and world stability. These developments warrant cautious monitoring, as official narratives may obscure deeper systemic challenges. This summary is concise, fact-based, and critically balanced, drawing on the provided sources while avoiding speculation. It covers key events in the U.S. financial, political, and global spheres for the week of April 16, 2025. If you need further details or specific angles, let me know. More on U.S. China trade global economic impact, more concise summary.